The UFC returned this weekend with Magomed Ankalaev and Johnny Walker, and I'm going to be going through all the fights and giving my analysis and breakdowns and recap of every single fight. So, starting off, we're going to go with Joshua Van. What a fight from him. He 22 still, 3 fights in the UFC, 3 wins, finally got his first finish. He looked good. Early on, the only question I have about Joshua Van is the head movement a little bit, but he is amazing. He really is. I think he could be a prospect in the flyweight division, especially at 22. He's only going to get better from here. And yeah, I want to see him get matched up against another unranked young flyweight. I don't know who yet, but unless, you know what, let's give him David Dvorak. I mean, Steve Erceg fought him. Why not Joshua Van? He's got 3 fights, 3 wins, and I think that'd be a good matchup for him. A guy who doesn't really pose much threat on the feet as it comes to power. Joshua Van's got a decent chin. We've seen him get dropped before, but he's got a good enough chin to go by. So yeah, Joshua Van would have win knockout. Gene Silva looked amazing. I picked him to win, and yeah, he looked amazing. He's got a different aura to him than most prospects that come in and have their debut. He came out with the walkout, very slow walkout, stared him down, walked towards the center during the introductions. Weston Wilson might be one of the worst UFC fighters I've ever seen. I mean, he posed absolutely no threat anywhere the fight went. His striking looked terrible. He had no speed or power on any of his shots. And anytime he got taken down, immediate impact for Gene Silva. And yeah, just a pathetic performance. He looked bad. I mean, just terrible. I got the Tom Nolan pick wrong. Mo to beat him. Yeah. I thought he'd go out there and win, so that was a mistake on my end. Bostra beat Lapulus. I predicted this. I figured that's what he was going to do. When he took Lapulus down, that's when he did his most work. And he won each round because of that. And I knew he would. But he is not that good on the feet. He was missing a lot of, kicks and punches. Him and Johnny Walker tonight. I don't know how many times they spammed a spinning back fist, but it didn't work one time. So, yeah, Bostrat, don't really think of him as a serious prospect at this point. Yeah, he keeps winning, but he just doesn't show anything new anytime. Striking looks the same. Grappling. I mean, you'll see some pictures out there. He literally was, for certain points of the fight, just having his head on his stomach and not doing anything, just holding on. You could just see it was a break in action, and it'd be like, man, they should stand these guys up at any point. They didn't. It was tough to watch. But yeah, win for him. Lapulus, I predicted that, and yeah. McGee looked really good against Bolaños. McGee is an interesting prospect because he's a little bit older. He's 33, and he doesn't have that many professional fights. So who are they going to give him in his next fight? That's what I really want to see. But yeah, his striking looked amazing. He looks really good. I'm interested to see who he fights next. Semmelsberger lost. All right, I picked him to win. He didn't. A good fight, though. I mean, there's just Semmelsberger, you just can't put everything together. And that's what I ultimately think was wrong about my pick. He's a power puncher, but can't really finish that many people. He's not finishing people every single time he's going in there, right? So my thought was he was going to go in there, he's going to hurt him, he's going to maybe finish him, and he didn't. And when that happens, okay, what is Semmelsberger now? Because, yeah, sure, in some of the grappling sequences he looked all right, but it wasn't something to write home about. Yeah, I just want to see him put everything together, finishing people, and being effective through all 3 rounds. Because we see him sometimes gas out after some rounds, after he puts a decent punishment on some guys. So yeah, got that one wrong. Not my best decision, but yeah. Waldo Cortez Acosta with a measly 29-28 decision versus Andrei Arlovski. I'm going to be real. I was looking away towards this fight. When it was on, I was watching it, and I was like, ah. after I saw the first round, I'm like, yeah, he's probably not going to finish this guy. And I picked him to win, right? I picked him to win this fight. I don't remember if I said decision and knockout or just knockout, but yeah, not a very good decision by him. There's something about it when you're a heavyweight and you're not going to be able to finish people. They ain't going to do anything for you, right? A lot of these heavyweights that are out there finishing guys that have big names like Andrei Arlovsky, they tend to give them a bump up in competition. With Waldo Cortez Acosta, this was a perfect chance, a layup chance against a 44-year-old Andrei Arlovsky to go in there, knock him out, then get a big name after that, or a ranked guy, someone, a bump up in competition. But now, he probably isn't going to get much bump up in competition. They'll probably give him some low-level, middle-ranked heavyweight that it will have the same style, and it'll go to decision again. Yeah, not a very good performance, but I did get the pick right, so yeah. Bruno Ferreira knocks out Phil Haas. I also did predict this one right. Phil Haas just has no chin, and that was ultimately why I picked Bruno Ferreira to win. It's sad to see that he has no chin because you can see the skills, and they're not bad. You'd be like, okay, Phil Haas, he's not that bad. Except his Achilles heel is that he has just a really bad chin. And maybe in the future I'll do a chins tier list or grade some of the worst chins in the UFC. And you see with a lot of these guys aren't bad. It's just when you go into a fight, you have to take that into account, right? Is his chin going to hold up in this fight? And yet again, it doesn't hold up. And it's sad to see he's on a 3-fight knockout loss streak, which is not very good because when people have those, they tend to never recover really the same from them. So, yeah, if I was Phil Haas right now, I'd take a serious look at my career and see, should I even be doing this, Because taking 3 knockouts like that, brutal knockouts, it can change a guy. So, yeah, got the pick right. Bruno Ferreira, round 1. All right, I'll be honest. I've had criticism of Mario Batista in the past. I put him in my overrated category and my overrated and underrated fighters in the UFC, but it's tough. It's tough. Ricky Simone, I thought he'd go out there and win, but the problem was Ricky Simone, like Matthew Semmelsberger, can't really finish guys with the power that they have, and that's ultimately why 3-rounders like that probably won't favor him as much. Because if you got a power puncher like that and he has good pressure and he can't really submit you like that, he's got a good ground game, but it's not like that, amazing where he's like, you got to watch out for Ricky Simone's grappling because it's top notch. No. So yeah, I got that pick wrong. Brutal way to start the year. Make a video about him being overrated and what happens. He beats a ranked guy who I picked him to lose to, so that's tough. Again, after this card, I'll go over my official records for each one. I'll do a record for all my picks throughout the year, main event picks, and underdogs eventually, and I'll put them on the screen too after the video or before the video of each prediction videos I do. And yeah, Jim Miller beats Gabriel Benitez, and he looks really good at 40 years old. I think that's the thing that everyone took away from this fight is Jim Miller still looks good at 40. And the question is, okay, is he going to be able to recover enough in time to get the UFC 300 date? And I think he will. I think this was perfectly set up for him to go in there, get a win over Benitez, and then get a guy for UFC 300. And the UFC, I think, will give him a matchup at 300 because he's an OG of the game. He's been through there. He's got the most wins in the UFC. 40 years old, still looking good. There's a lot of matchups you can give him in the division. I don't know who I want to see yet. Maybe I'll make a video on all the fights I want to see people do. Just lay down some fights I want to see. And yeah, Jim Miller looks really good. 40 years old. I mean, he looked good with the leg kicks. The only question I have is if he does kind of get a guy who has good kickboxing Jim Miller, when he throws his leg kicks, he kind of puts a lot into them. And I think if a guy can check his leg kicks with the legs that he has, it could be a problem for Jim Miller. Now, look, we're not out here expecting Jim Miller to come in here and become a UFC champion at 40, but if you get bumped up in competition, that could be something that people can exploit because look, he's still winning. He's still winning at this age. And people want to see him fight because, his chin's still good. His skills are good. He's fast. He's powerful. He's not top notch, right? But he's still good. He's still really good. So, yeah. What a win by Jim Miller. Also got that one right. Magomed Ankalaev knocks out Johnny Walker in the second round. Feels good to start the year on a win in the main event, too. Yeah, and I kind of predict this to happen. Johnny Walker, like I said, with Basharat, he would get into this sequence where he's like, throws a leg kick, it would miss. He'd get down like the squat formation, and then he throws spinning back fist. And for the majority of the first round, that's what he did the entire time. And it just didn't work. Magomed Ankalaev kind of picked him apart. It was a slower fight. Everyone kind of expected it to be a slower fight. And that's why I ultimately think it wasn't going to be that fun of a fight to watch. But a knockout like that over Johnny Walker can give Magomed Ankalaev, Alex Pereira. I think he threw his name into the hat now, which is really good for him. He needed a win like that to up himself in the contenders of the light heavyweight, because there's a decent amount of guys in the light heavyweight division that are contenders, and I think he put himself right up top there with Jamal Hill at the for the chance to fight for the UFC light heavyweight belt. Overall on the card, we did pretty decent. We went 8-3 on the card with 1-0 on the main event picks. So yeah, I'll have them for every prediction video. And yeah, UFC 297 this week. I'll have my prediction video here soon. Kind of go through the fights that I think, go through every fight, give my analysis, give my breakdown for each one. So yeah. Anyways, until next time, peace.